Welcome to No Breakaways, your source for all the Zwift racing tips and tricks. We're back for another Outside the Draft with my two co-hosts. First up, we have Jackie Godby. You can see her Instagram there, Triantist, which I absolutely love. I thought about that multiple times this week. It's definitely not Trentist. Jackie rides for Cyrus Pros Closet for Team 4S Endurance, IRL, and she is a Team None athlete. Jackie, how's it going?
Going great, thanks.
And we have Jordan Shane of peakformcoaching.com. If you want to check him out, he's a pro cyclist for Elevate Webaplex. I see he has his fancy shirt on. And Finesse Esports. It's a good looking shirt. I like the color.
Yeah, man. This came from Elevate Loan Offices. Like, this isn't a sports t-shirt. This is like what you get when you work there.
Oh, this is where you got your loan. Whatever. Yeah, I kind of freaks me out a little bit. Okay, so let's go. Premier League, Zwift Racing League discussion. How did we feel about the, again, I don't know if you guys watched my course preview video. My buddy Serge told me I can no longer even attempt French words. So how did you feel about the course this week? Whatever it's called.
The Champs-Élysées?
Yeah. He really got into it. He put on his French hat and everything.
Yeah, that. Oh, it's great viewing. Jackie raced it, so we should start with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what? Going into this race, everybody was saying, this is a flat course. It's a sprinter's course. And having raced it, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. This was definitely a sprinter's course with what was a very nice flat finish. But the racers who raced it today were set and determined to make it not a sprinter's course. So just a brief, kind of overview for the course, for those of you who are not familiar. The Premier League was doing 6 laps of this 6.9 kilometer course. There's actually not that much of a hill built into it. There's 34 meters of climbing over an entire loop. And most of that occurs along this 1.3 kilometer stretch, average gradient of 3%, heading into the 150 meter sprint, which is where the sprint points were given out. Now, this is why everybody was saying it's a sprinter's course. We have this really short sprint, 6 times where we're giving out sprint points on, this 12-second segment. However, how the course was raced, the sprint really started about half a kilometer before that. And so, particularly in our league, we saw efforts ramping up, a full minute before you hit the sprint, such that I was holding, easily 400 watts heading into that sprint, just to stay, in the top 25 and not lose the pack. You were really, really required to put out VO2 efforts. So it became, I don't want to say as bad as Libby Hill. We weren't out, oh God, those efforts last week. I didn't get quite as close to the vomit level, but we were definitely staying away from that classic 15-second sprint and cap it.
And it didn't look like you could just kind of slot in after you're done sprinting either, because it was still kind of uphill, draggy. Like you didn't get to roll over the top and just kind of like coast it out after that big effort.
It depends on a couple of things. For me, it was actually a relatively easy finish because we hit a flat and then we hit it downhill. I'm still personally weighing it a little heavy, so hitting that downhill meant I got to rest a little more than some of my competitors. But it also meant that, again, I had to work a little harder going into that uphill. So, again, this is a course that it's going to hit you differently, just depending on what type of rider you are. But we definitely saw a very fast pack. There was no time to hit the aero tuck. There was very little time to really recover from that uphill and quick sprint.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I mean, the women's field got down very many riders very quickly. It was like a group of 25 at the end, huh? It was it got whittled down, and it seems like there's a group of strong women that survive every time. Like it's almost the same group of 25 or 30. I mean, last week was less, but It was exciting. Like I really thought I was so spun up because Movistar was winning. And
Yeah.
eventually,
Yeah.
like let's not bury the lead. The streak is over.
Oh, did
Oh,
they? Movie Star
Yeah.
won?
Yeah, Hino dropped.
Oh, I
The
didn't.
big news on our Discord after the race was like, oh my god, Hino's been dethroned.
Oh, man.
You know, after
I
three
think it was,
seasons, and we finally see it happen.
And it was almost a strategic, misstep because like they were commenting at the beginning, it doesn't look like Hino's going for these sprints. Like they missed the first one or two completely, and they were way behind Movistar. And then they started to feature at the end, but it was like they got way far behind early, and Movistar jumped out to that lead, and then they won the race, which helps too.
Yeah, I saw Beth McIver won.
That was
Yeah,
that was dominant from her that race, really.
Movistar really did an excellent job doing what Hino normally does, which is putting three of their riders in striking distance for every single lap. You know, I actually started looking at them rather than Hino. And I've said this before, I personally look at the front of the pack, and when I see those three Hino jerseys, when I see those three red jerseys, I know things are about to heat up. And that's when I begin timing for the next segment. But this time, it was Movistar. And, I didn't really realize it until about halfway through the race that they were going to be the people I was watching for my position.
That was crazy.
So,
and then in the sprint, it looked like it was just messy on both of them, huh? Like the men's one guy, Foldiger, went from like 400 meters, and he looked like he had a good march on everybody else, but that strategy didn't work out. It was a real late thing. MacGyver seemed like when she actually decided to sprint, she just sliced right through that pack. But yeah, it must have been tough in there.
yeah, and I think this was a course where the power-up actually mattered a lot. Which power-up you had. I got stuck with the feather at the end, which normally I love the feathers. On a flat, fast finish, not so much, especially when there's 20 women where you could really make great use of that arrow power-up or the draft power-up.
Right.
So you guys had feather, arrow, and draft fan?
Feather, arrow, and draft. We do not get steamroller.
Huh.
Nothing special for the Premier League.
What? I don't understand the difference. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I do or not.
We can talk about that in the little power up section.
I know.
I think it's relevant because it's a weird thing because it's like the Premier League has to be fair because it's at such a high level. So we only do these three power ups, and it's like, does that mean the other ones are not fair?
Well, it's still the legacy from Worlds back in December when they had to negotiate.
Those are the ones that are okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And UCI, I don't think they're big fans of the burrito or Ghost, however much fun that is.
So
it's weird, all right, because they're all sort of ridiculous in nature.
I'm gonna table this. I'm gonna table my part.
Yeah, we have a good segment.
Yeah,
for that.
yeah. We write a detailed agenda. I get it prepped really early. Normally Tuesday night right after this. I definitely don't send it out the day of. So I'm very on top of it. Thankfully, I have two good guest hosts that basically carry the show.
And I never try to derail him, ever.
No, we never.
So excited about a topic that I'm just like, can we do this now?
Yeah, you never get so excited about a topic that you put about 75 sub-bullets down on it, ever. You've never done that, Jackie. So we got if you're watching this show live, buckle up for the next 3 or 4 hours, where it's going to be a while.
To talk about all Rick's favorite movies.
We're going back to Disney. My wife commented on the last one. She goes, "Hey, I turned on your No Breakaways, and you guys were like talking about weird stuff, and I just turned it off."
Right. Yeah, that's.
And I was like, "Well, I don't. You're not my target audience."
Didn't feel weird at the time, but I guess when you're on a e-racing bicycle,
so. Here's the thing, and my wife probably won't make it this far in the show, so I'm okay with it. She tunes me out when I regularly talk anyways, so it's no big deal. She watched a couple minutes. That's more than we normally make it. So
way over the average. Well, let's quickly talk about the men's race so that we can we can get to the good stuff there. Yeah, so I watched this one. It was a much bigger pack than the women's. It seemed like not too many people got dropped, although the sprints were on. I think it was it was a big enough group that you could nestle in and lose a little more distance on that climb and still make it through. Bruce Bird was doing ridiculous Bruce Bird things and attacking off the front multiple times. He ended up getting some sprint points out of it, which is nice. You root for that when a guy's making that kind of effort, some reward. But I gotta say, man, like if you're that strong, just do it once and do it right. Like not 5 times separately. Just go for it, and then you can win, and we can rename this channel Some Breakaways.
Occasional breakaways.
Yeah, because I know how hard that attacking and attacking again, that's hard on you, and each one is getting a little weaker as you go.
But
I
that's
think
the whole problem, right? Is that you can't. And like I noticed this in the B race too, is there was a pack of 30 guys, and there was a pack of 10 guys behind him, and on the downhill the pack of 10 caught him. And we talk a lot about the blob effect, right? And how you can't get away. But I don't get how the little packs are catching the big pack. Like I just
weird.
Yeah.
The sprint effect, in my interpretation, the sprint effect of how fast that makes the group go because of the overlaps in really fast drafts, I think that's exaggerated, and I think that's what brings it back.
Yeah.
Like we saw that when Usborne almost won on the first stage of the year. That sprint brought back 12 seconds in like 600 meters, which is crazy.
Yeah.
You get the added effect from the overlapping power-ups.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like, you said this would never happen in real life, but you had like 10 overlapping drafts with 10 overlapping power-ups that make each draft that much better.
That makes sense.
How does the physics on that work? It'd be an interesting graphic. But anyway, I think that Bruce could win a race like this because the guy just would gain 10 seconds on the downhill because he's huge. And then he would do like 700 watts on the uphill. So maybe a lap and a half to go, or even the last lap. I think that might have worked for him. But anyway, good show. And that was really the main animation. It was cool because a lot of the community leagues were in the action for the sprints. And they ended up winning, too. Next one with Brian Duffy Jr., who's not a name I know. He won the sprint at the last possible moment. This week totally highlighted the need for Zwift to have like an accurate finish cam. Like, I don't know how they do that, but maybe the broadcast has a delay and like they have a version that's clarified or something. I don't know, but it would have been really nice to be like, that guy won. Like, oh, Beth McIver won. But instead, after both finishes, Dave was just like, well, we can't count on that result. We're going to have to look for the latency. And it's like, okay, I know. Kills the moment a bit. But yeah, so he won from Next, which is huge. They did well in the overall today. Finesse did well in the overall. And Shore did great in the overall. So like some non Canyon and Sarah's teams were doing super well today. And I think Freddie Ovet listened to this show last week because even Dave and Rossahan noticed this. The guy never touched the wind before the sprint. And he never did an attack. He would even kind of just do the intermediate sprints as efficiently as possible, just follow wheels. And then the guy almost won the flat sprint at 64 kilograms. It's pretty impressive. So yeah, I'll take credit for that, Freddie. You're welcome.
Hey, Freddie, what's going on? Let us know if you want to come on. We'll talk to you.
Dave literally said, if you're going to lead for 1 meter of the race, lead for the last one. And he just about did it. And there you go. So, but good times. I mean, this course looked like a little bit of a snooze when I first saw it, on the beginning of the season. But it was anything but. I would say it was almost as exciting as last week, especially the women's.
Yeah, it was a super interesting course. I know in the ZRL too, I saw, one of the EMEA divisions in the A, Matt Main from Insured was racing in it, and him and 3 guys from the Dutch team. I don't know what the rest of their name is. They're in the Premier League too, I think. But they had a break. They had a 4 or 5, and then somebody bridged to it. One guy, which was super cool. Like, it was awesome. Like, I love races where you can't just script the finish. And this race was like, I thought Cobbled Climbs was a lot like that, but this race was kind of like the B field that my team just raced in was a 30-man sprint. But I mean, it'd be cool if we could have more races where you can't quite script what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, we've had a good handful, and I think the last scratch race in Surrey Hills will be another one of those. Like, really, week one, we did not expect it to be as dynamic as it was. Team time trials are boring. Then what was the one? NYC was pretty interesting. We saw some breakaways on both sides, like last gaps finish at the end for that, and then the last two have been awesome too. So, been a good one.
Yeah. Maybe the new draft physics are doing what they want.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
Some novel courses too, because seeing the Peloton sprint Champs-Élysées was actually kind of cool.
Everybody,
it's cool to see.
People today were like, "I wish they would have made this the last course of the season," just because.
I mean, technically, it makes sense, right? Like, this is the last course. Sip champagne as you're going around.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be cool. All right, so I understand there's going to be there's a fall ZRL season. What are your two hopes and dreams for the fall ZRL Premier League season? Give me your wildest ones, whatever.
Yeah, well, Jackie's got to be world domination, but mine will be less impressive, so we'll get it out of the way. I think I'll probably be racing on the road into October. Like Tour of the Gilas in October on my birthday, actually, October 1st to something. So it'll be late, and I don't know where that leaves me in the season of Zwift, but I'd like to go at it again. Fall seems like the right time to Zwift, the right time to race. The weather's getting crappier. It's like, I don't know. It's a good time. So hopefully we pick it up again, whether that's Premier League or Community League. Kind of amendable to doing Community League and having a little more fun with things. You can
come join the Draft B team.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll have to really start packing on the pounds after Gila and get myself to 4 watts a kilo.
I was like, you can have my pounds. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll do it
you can come on the Draft B team too, Jackie. That'd be
sure. There you go. Yeah, so we'll just try to have some fun with it, and hopefully Worlds and all that happens again. For me, and that would be the dream, I guess, is to have Worlds happen again. That would be super fun, like it was this year, and use the ZRL to build up to that.
What about you, Jackie?
Yeah, I think Jordan, you put it pretty perfectly. Like, Worlds would definitely be the end goal. I think that would be my dream for this year, and my biggest goal would be to be able to participate in ZRL. I mean, I will be starting my intern year. I was chatting with you guys a little bit earlier about like how I will be a real doctor starting July 1st. But I will have a flexible schedule. I will be doing emergency room shifts. So I don't really know what my schedule is going to be like. Which actually means I will definitely be staying with virtual racing, even through the summer when the weather's great, just because of that flexibility. And we'll see how many premier races I'm able to make. I might have to dip into a couple other races just on Saturdays, whatever's amenable to my schedule. And my secondary goal will be getting my weight back down to where it was for Worlds again. Because, I think that was really a sweet spot. I think that hills just are a solid component of Zwift racing. That's a great way to make a selection that makes great TV. And after a weekend in Vegas, a wedding, and a week at a lake house in Michigan, I'm sitting a little heavier than I like. Although for this week's weigh-in, I did find out that spraining my ankle last week was worth an entire kilogram. Like, just that swelling. Wow. I was able to get it go down over a week. So that was a little bit of a relief, and be like, okay, it's not just me. That was just tying a a liter of soda to my ankle, it around.
That's a nice visual too.
Yeah, I know. We should have had you like show us a
still
picture.
raced with that. You still raced with that going on. That's pretty badass.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, what's actually funny is, so again, taking it back to the hospital, but we'll always say, you know, this patient needs to pee it off. You know, they've got swelling, and, you know, it's really difficult to visualize when we're like, oh, they need to pee off 4 or 5 liters. Well, what does that look like? And now I'm like grumbling about having 1 stuck in my ankle. Like, now I'm just imagining like going around with these like 2-liter bottles strapped to my body, and I'm like, oh goodness, okay. Like that really does happen. So
it's your medical corner with Jackie Godby.
I know.
Swelling for dummies. Yeah.
You injure yourself.
Yeah, I've done some of that for sure, with the swelling and the broken bones and such.
But that makes 3 of us who are just aiming for worlds, you know?
Yeah,
just
man.
All 3 of us. If I can lose maybe 60 pounds and put on about 100 watts on my FTP, I too will join you in Worlds. So
sure, we'll see you there.
Probably not holding my breath, but yeah. So what I'm hoping for in the ZRL and the Premier League, I'm hoping stuff. Just you know, for me, it's like I'm having fun DSing the team. Hopefully, I'm in good enough shape to race, but I'm really hoping they try some even more new crazy stuff. I would like to see the same point structure in the Premier League as they're in ZRL, and see what happens in Ural's races, because it'd be great. Our races, because of this point structure, are wild. Like, they are wild. It is a much different race than anything else I've ever raced on Zwift, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I do love the chaos. And I really say, I think this is becoming a theme now. Like, Zwift needs to differentiate itself. I think, you know, putting its chips down on the gamification, on the let's see what happens when we do this and see what works. You know, even though we're finishing up season 3, heading into season 4, like, it's still such a new sport. There's still so much room to change the physics. Still so much room to figure out what we like and don't like. I agree. Like, I am willing to sit here and, you know, be a guinea pig. You know, just the only thing I don't want is I don't want another update that nullifies results for a race. I would be very happy to leave that behind.
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, so maybe we'll just skip. I know there's some summer WTRL races, and we're going to talk about what we think they are. I think we'll just skip that and go straight to the gamification, since we've been dancing around it quite a bit. So I actually wrote an article for Zwift Insider. I don't know if either of you saw it, but it was all about power-ups.
I read it. I managed to get through your prose there. It's very well written. And the comments on it are ridiculous.
The comments are hardcore. Like,
there's so many. Like, I've written like 12 articles. I don't know, 15 for them. I don't think all the comments together.
Well, my first article I wrote, I have 90 comments on. So I'm just saying, that's a humble brag right there. Or just a brag. It's not even a humble brag. It's just a brag.
Yeah.
No, so people, at least the people who comment, a lot of them hate power-ups. They hate it. And so I was honestly, I was shocked. I like emailed Eric at Zwift Insider, and I was like, dude, apparently power-ups is a hot topic. And he was like, they sure are. Like, I had no clue. So many people are like one guy, even today, this is like a week after it got published, was like, he's like, I like racing bikes, not games. And I was like,
wow, that's how you know he's serious. That's how you know he's really serious about it. Is he read it a week late, and then he leaves a very assertive comment. But it's like, dude, you had a week to read this.
It made me think of something, and I actually now I want to write an article about this. But it's about like I want to entitle the article "Zwift, Serious or Game," because I mean the 3 of us have talked about it a lot. I mean, it can be both. Like, I don't see why it can't be both, I guess. Like, I was shocked people hate power-ups so much. I had no clue. I had no, like, I don't.
Maybe.
I don't personally feel like they take. I feel like they add so much to the game because, I mean, it's a game. Like it's a
Yeah.
game based on how hard you can pedal the bike, and you two are excellent examples of that. So am I, because I'm can't pedal the bike as well as you. So you guys stomp me in every single race if I were to race you.
Right.
But like, it's not like I would get an arrow and then like, oh, I'll whoop on Jackie today. You know?
Yeah. No, the argument that it can't be both serious and a game is ridiculous because one of the most serious sports in the world right now is e-gaming.
Oh yeah.
Like you can win $10 million, way more than the Tour de France, by the way, if you're good at StarCraft or whatever the heck the kids are playing these days. So like
Oh,
seriously,
old man Shane here.
yeah, I don't know, man. I'm so bad at
He looks like he's 16 and acts like he's 60.
I just really don't. I'm not that good at that, so I can pedal, but not do that. But yeah, so that's kind of silly. And then like, why don't you guys want power ups? Well, I think that we solved the problem. And sorry, Jack, you weren't here, but we had a pretty good jam with Anna Russell about the power up arsenal.
We wished you were here.
We did, and you would have offered us expertise beyond ours for sure. But we did perfect it. So like I think the only objections to power up is it's not fair, right? Because sometimes, especially in those community races, when you go through and you get the stupid plus,
Yeah.
it's like that ain't fair, man. You know. But if we do the power up arsenal, like where you get
can pre-select them all,
pre-select, and so it's totally on you, and you have the same chances as everybody else. I think that it is fair then. You know, and I think that argument's over then. And then why don't you like it? Do you hate fun? Do you hate good times? Like, I don't know, man. I don't get it.
What do you think, Jackie? I mean, where do you fall on the gamification versus real racing or power-ups and all that?
I say Swift should make a series that has no power-ups.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to race without power-ups, there is a race series for you. If you want to race with power-ups, there's a race series for you. Like, they're two different strategies, they're two different game theories, and you know, I personally enjoy the added layer of strategy from having to, you know, just think about, okay, which one do I want for what?
Mm-hmm.
I think at its core, bike racing is very strategic, even more so than other endurance events like marathon or triathlon, where you're looking solely at what you can do. You know, you're not thinking about what can I get from the draft? You know, what can I get from other people? What is the field doing? And so you're really doubling down on that strategy, and you're just giving yourself more tools to be strategic, to think about where does this come down to the sprint finish or the climb, or, you know, even trying to drop people on a hill. Now, is there an argument that the current power-ups are broken or need to be fixed or somehow equalized? Sure. But I think that gets back to, this is a very young sport. We're still changing the physics. And honestly, if you're like, well, I don't want power-ups, well, you know, Rick, you were talking just last week about how good you are at utilizing the draft. And that's essentially a free power-up you can get anytime. You can even get in real life. You know, so I think we're just trying to give more handles to really underscore the strategy and the intellectual side of bike racing.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess I think you hit it too, Jackie, and we talk about this all the time. I mean, I'm so big in Swift can be anything. You can have a series without power-ups, you can have a series with power-ups. On the outside, I don't get to choose the no wind race, you know. You just
if I could.
right? But like
yes.
Like Zwift can be anything you want. Like in general, and I know they're like the Omicron double race. I don't know if the Saturday Smashes double race doesn't have power-ups.
Yeah. I was going to say that it would be interesting to look at the registration for events with and without power-ups and see whether people put their money where their mouth is on this one. Well, like, I hate them, but I also want them.
But the thing is, the registration is just all based around where the best people are. Tons of people race the double race because there are tons of other good people there.
Yeah, you can't. I guess it's not a good survey of that, but it would be interesting because I think it's like if you hate them so much, maybe you only race the races without them. But I don't think people actually hate them. I think they hate when they get beaten by them.
Right.
Right.
I think they perceive it as being cheating.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah, and I know that too, right? Is like when I have a feather and I'm going up a climb and I'm not feeling so good, it's like, man, I'm super happy that exists. But if I'm not feeling good and I don't have one and someone uses one against me, I'm just like, yeah, like that sucks, man. But obviously, yeah, but you don't hate the player, hate the game, whatever that saying is. Don't do it.
I mean, I always feel like too, when you're, there are so many people who want this to be outside racing. And I know maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know. I don't at all want it to be outside racing. I want it to be, I don't want to be different to the point where it's like I get hit by a red shell, but I want it to be different to the point where like they're two different disciplines and you can be good at both, but to win at either one, you better specialize in that. Right.
Yeah, I think, we talk a lot about Zwift here. I've mentioned that I compete on RGT, another platform as well. Like, Zwift is certainly the most popular cycling platform, but I think there's an argument to say, if you're looking for different physics, if you're looking for a different type of racing simulation, then there are different brands that cater to that.
Yeah.
And also going back to your point where we can design any sort of race you want, I now want a Zwift race on the moon where gravity is 1/6, atmosphere is null, so my height doesn't count against me anymore.
There you go.
We can find insane mountains and like your kilograms or doing whatever.
You could do that, right? I mean, that's
absolutely.
I just think the argument that like, oh, this is like cheating. If you get a flat outdoors, I don't like if we do a 20-minute race outdoors and Jordan gets a flat and I don't, I'm gonna beat Jordan, and Jordan's gonna be like, well, that wasn't fair. Rick is a old mid-level biker and I'm an elite pro, and I'm gonna be like,
yeah,
tough shit.
Yeah, I didn't pump up tires, like play the game, right?
Yeah,
no,
I mean, like
the opposite is true. The opposite is true in real racing too. It's like there's intangibles that have nothing to do with really power to weight or even bike handling, like in the traditional sense. Like certain guys and gals can get through that pack so smoothly without wasting a single watt. And you'd be like, that's not fair. They're bumping and grinding. It's like, no, that's the game, and you can't measure it either. It's not a tangible at all. And power-ups kind of make that too. Like it adds a little bit of depth that might be missing on the indoor side. Why not?
That's a beautiful way to put it. It adds depth, I think. I think that's about perfect. And that's
this game's not going to be fun if it's just watt per kilo. We don't want that.
Like, every race is a time trial.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Whoever's best wins. Like, sounds like the worst thing ever.
Hashtag. We can get that trending on Twitter. I think power up Arsenal.
Yeah, but yeah. So, yeah, people were pretty pissed at my article, and I did not see that coming. But yeah, got a lot of comments though. So, all right. So I was thinking about putting together a 7-day stage race, the No Breakaways / other sponsor 7-day stage race, because I always wanted there to be one on Zwift. I think it would be super fun. I had questions for you both. Number one, what do you want to see? And I'm gonna go through all the questions, and then you can answer them if you feel like it or not. What would you like to see? I was thinking about, and this was Ryan McGee's idea, I was thinking about doing it over 9 days, so you could have 2 weekends. Because for us normal people, not pros. You want to
Mondays and Fridays off?
I don't know. Well, maybe you can be the race director.
Sure, why not?
And then what makes when you're scrolling through the app, right? Or you're looking at something, what makes a race? This is when you look at it and you're like, I don't want to miss this. I really want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my 2 questions for you both. No. Hopefully we don't sit in awkward silence too long.
Jackie's not done a 7-day stage race in real life. So what do you think about the recovery and implications of it's tough business?
Yeah, so the closest I've done to a stage race is probably a championship swim meet, 4 or 5 days of hard racing every day. But even then, we're talking preliminary races in the morning, finals at night. But these are, for me, 2 to 5 minute races. I'm not hitting 4 or 5 hours day after day after day.
But this wouldn't be 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, I mean,
what?
No.
Stage race. I'm expecting 50 kilometers.
There would
minimum.
be. So I was thinking having one. So this was based on our three's conversation, 1, 2.5 or 3 hour race on one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Because we talked about during ZRL, it'd be cool to have like Surrey Hills is going to be very hard, but it's also hour and a half, something like that. Maybe less than that.
Yeah.
But a real true race where Jordan or Jackie, one of you guys could go off the front and try your luck. You know what I mean? And realistically try it.
Yeah. Go for all the marbles. No, I like this idea. I always thought that there should be something like this. When you hear Tour of Utopia and stuff, I always get a little excited,
Yeah.
I actually, to answer your question about looking at the app, I like the tours with the stages and the covering the different maps and stuff. Even though that's not super high level racing or anything, I get a kick out of the different route options and try all the different race situations. Try it again if you maybe didn't do well the first time. I really like those. I look forward to those. The group rides and the races for those. 7-day stage race. You can do so many things. The Queen stage is awesome. I think that's so cool. You put that at the end so that even if somebody's so far back on time, they could theoretically make a huge run for it and gain 3 minutes finishing on the Alp or something. Short time trials, I think, would be cool. The Bologna time trial is pretty awesome. But the one they had in Tour of Andrasta that was 10K. I don't think you want a super long TT because it's kind of boring and it opens up the time gaps and stuff. But yeah, you have a crit in there. That'd be sick.
Yep.
You could just, yeah. And I would love it. And I think maybe people would too, if it was a team event. And so you could have a team time trial of some interesting nature in there.
So
maybe a down.
We probably wouldn't do a team time trial, but it would be teams could win. And there would be Queen of the Mountains / King of the Mountains. There would be sprint, point champion. It would obviously be broadcast, repping my brand or whoever else wants to help with it. And we would pick the most exciting rider of the day sort of thing. So
right.
It wouldn't mirror the Tour de France, but then we'd also we'd highlight a category and pull in bios and stuff like that. So people get to know, kind of like we do for the 6v6 races, Jackie. And you both participated. That was
so it reminds me a lot of the Joe Martin stage race, which was my very, very first, professional race on Zwift. 3 days started with the Bologna TT. And then they also had sprint points and QOM points, such that they not only had the overall stage winner, they had winners for each of those.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a great format. And this also rolls into what I look for a race. I'm looking for a big series that has a very deep women's field. Because it's really hard to find races where you're going to have a field of 50 women, or you're going to have a field of 50 women that is going to go 4 watts per kilo, and I'm not going to blow everybody off in the first 10 minutes, because those are very, very different races. So
yeah,
I love the Zwift Premier League for that reason. I have this predictable, huge field of women who are going to kick my ass, such that when I get dragged across the finish line, I have given everything, no matter whether I'm first or 30th. So that's huge to me, is just the quality of the field. As it gets into summer, I will probably start dipping my toes into some more mixed races, just so I can get my ass kicked by my husband.
Can he beat you?
So it depends on the course, actually.
Ooh.
We are very, very well matched. in terms of watts per kilo. If we do a TT, we've done some flat TTs. He will finish a couple for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if we're going to hit VO2, if we're going to hit a sprint, I can beat him. So it really depends on the course format. It depends whether you enable power-ups and drafting. And it depends who makes the break with that pack.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
I think, Rick, like the 7-day stage race is awesome, but I think we really want to broadcast Jackie versus her husband.
Yeah.
You know, I've actually, what I want to do, Rick, for your next 6v6, we need to get some more of the cycling couples online.
A cycling couple race.
Yeah.
Well, Beth McIver and Jed Scott are a couple. Jed's on draft, and Beth is obviously Beth.
Frank Cundiff and Mallory McRosty as well. She's a solid sprinter.
Okay.
Like verify
so many times on USA Cycling, on the USA Cycling Crit Series. Like she's the one that taught me how to sprint, because she would just follow my wheel, 200 meters left to go, open it up.
So is this going to be a 2v2v2v2 sort of thing, or is this going to be women versus men, or is this going to be
teams of two, right? Like teams of couples.
So this is like that one show where you have the two people doing Amazing Race.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just found our title, obviously.
Amazing Race. Yeah, I love it. And like we have to verify that they're couples, like on Facebook. Like
they have to kiss for the camera before we start.
Otherwise we're gonna have Freddie Ovet and Catherine Curry being like, "Oh yeah, we've been going steady for a time."
It's going steady. I haven't heard that in a while.
Well, see, 60-year-old.
I know.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. The 7-day stage race is perhaps more practical, but I think that's...
Well, we already have 3, and I'm sure Beth McIver and Jed Scott have already volunteered, because they're both in Scotland or Inverness or something like that. So I'm sure they just are watching right now.
Mm-hmm.
If we can do that, I would totally put that on, Jackie. That would be super fun.
I mean, we can have plenty of time, launch it in February next year, around the 14th.
Nice.
That is a good idea. That would be super funny. That would be great. But we'd have to put some sort of stakes around it. Like, you know, like that's where it would be cool to do like women versus men, and the losing team has to sing the winning team some sort of love song at the end. You know, I mean...
are the best stakes always.
Yeah, we could do a lot with this. The
losing couple has to go on like the world's worst date. Like you give them like a $20 Applebee's gift card and like one movie ticket for the afternoon.
Yeah, they have to go on it and Instagram it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So. Well, this one this show is always interesting. I never know where it's gonna go. Okay, so Jackie's tactic of the week. Can we just talk about the TTT passing? Do you think it's going to work, Jackie, or no?
Yeah, we can certainly talk. So TTT passing. First things first, you have to figure out the new Zwift draft. Number one, I know last week for the Premier League, they actually showed some really good graphics during the broadcast, kind of showing a heat map of where it activates behind each rider. So I would 100%, ahead of this TT, go find that graphic, find that heat map, and just kind of visualize like, okay, is it 2? Is it 3 meters? Like, where do I need to sit to do the least amount of work? And just find that. If you can't find that graphic, turn off erg mode, go on a flat course. I love Tempit Fugit for this. And just sit behind random riders and watch to see when your avatar pops up, pops down.
Yeah.
Flat. So you can pretty easily monitor, like, all right, what do my watts do when I'm pedaling this hard?
I have a quick question. I was doing a group ride the other day, and my avatar was not sitting up ever.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys seen that? Is that still working normally?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so.
Yeah. It works. My avatar just always looks like it's sitting up because I'm the only 5'9" rider. So I'm like always still ahead above everybody else. And I'm like, what?
You're only 5'9"? For some reason, I thought you were like 6 feet tall. I don't know why. I pictured you being like very tall.
Yeah. No, they used to lie about my height when I was on volleyball. But yeah.
Like lying make you taller?
Yeah, because I was a middle hitter.
Oh.
Yeah, and all of the other middle hitters were 6 feet tall, and I was not. But
you could jump high.
Higher than any of them. So they just kind of put my height as 5'11", and that looks real intimidating. And I was like, whatever. We're just gonna go with it.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry to derail this again.
So step number 1, figure out that drafting pocket because it's changed since our last TTs and it's worth just getting comfortable with. Step 2 is mark the person in front of you and know what type of rider they are. Know if they're going to slow down compared to you on an uphill, if they're going to speed up compared to you on an uphill. Because quite honestly, in a team time trial, they're the only other person that matters. You do not have to worry about who's behind you. You only have to worry about how to stick on that wheel in front of you. And if you're hitting big gradients, that's the tricky part. Anybody can really stay in a pocket on a flat, but it's hard to stay in the pocket when, you hit an incline, you hit a decline, and effort changes. Now we get on to passing. Once you've mastered okay, here it is, here's where I stay for minimal effort. And again, this mostly depends on the person in front of you doing their job very, very well. In a good team, they should give you a heads up that they're about to drop back. And that, depending on team dynamics, might be anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 seconds ahead of where they do. My team likes to use 5. And as soon as you get that notification, you need to start thinking about gradually and predictably increasing your speed up until that power or watts per kilogram that you're going to maintain at the head of that pace line. And again, predictability is the key. You want to have a linear acceleration. You don't want to suddenly be like, oh God, I'm going to be in front and now I'm going to go 400 watts and everything's going to be amazing, because you're going to rocket off the front, particularly while you still have a little bit of that draft and the person behind you is going to hate you. So you want to think, all right, I'm here, I'm in the pocket. I've got the draft is going to start getting less good. So I need to start making this beautiful line that the person behind me can follow until I'm getting ready to lead power. Similarly, once you're at the front, you hold for whatever time your team has assigned you. And then again, you give your notification to the person behind you. All right, I'm going to drop in X. And when the time drops, now you're going to begin a predictable deceleration. And the only change here is getting back on the tail of your group. And that's going to probably require a slight acceleration, again, because of the new Zwift draft physics. We have that kind of 3-second lag where you're not in the pocket. So you might have to go from lead power to drop power back to lead power just to catch back in that pocket while the physics catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Those are good tips.
And don't be that guy that accelerates on the front every time. Rick, be smooth.
Why do it?
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Look, if you can't handle my power, And right now I just don't get on the front ever, so I'm that guy.
Got it.
Yeah. No, those are good tips. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so good luck in your TTT this week. We do have the Magnificent 8, which has the reverse KOM, if I'm not mistaken. So So preview to the course preview video. Advanced strategy for this week. If you have somebody on your team who is not as good as the rest of the riders in the front half of the race before you get to the reverse KOM, you want them to do extra pulls. Have them do as many pulls as they can because they're going to drop off anyways. That saves you everybody else energy. And then they're just off the back on the hill. Because I made this mistake the first TTT of the year here, is that I was like, I'm going to make it as long as I can. Just having me in the group is going to help and blah, blah, blah. I never took a single pull in the race, and then it got dropped off the back. So I didn't really help anyone. So
yeah, that race that I don't think we ever did it for Premier League, did we? That TT?
Yeah. We did it in ZRL.
We did in ZRL, yeah. Oh, I've raced it a couple times. Hard memories because you get over that KOM and there's still a ways to go.
Yeah.
I just remember that. Like, do not think you can sprint up that bad boy because you get like 30 seconds of rest and then what's it, another 10K? It's tough.
Oh yeah. I'm looking, yeah. Race 4 of season 1 was a Magnificent 8.
Oh yeah.
So don't remember that one. That was
don't remember that far back if I did it.
Season 1, I guess. Yeah,
you wouldn't have done Premier League, Jordan. You guys weren't in it, yeah. But
got it.
Yeah. Okay. So the one big thing this week, I want to be really somber with this very important topic. Jackie made me laugh. I'm blaming Jackie.
Yep.
Our media. I know it is always your fault. It is always your fault for sure. It's media recommendations. What do you listen to or watch while you are riding? Jackie has 75 bullet points here to cover. So, like I said, buckle up. I have some ones that may be roundly mocked. I'm not really sure, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. So, Jackie, why don't you kick us off here?
So I'm not really sure what you're going to say that will get you routinely mocked after, my 75 bullet points. But, I'll start you guys off with my playlist recommendations. And I will fully own up and say that these are not individual playlists. They are all mixed together. So
wait, whoa. So first of all, I was shocked that this is what you listen to. Like that. Yeah. One of them, I was like, okay, this is based on previous conversations. You're saying you mix all three of these genres together.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It is a truly excellent playlist.
I want to be really clear about what we're about to hear. Okay, go ahead.
Yep. So, I'm a 90s kid. I don't think it's going to surprise anybody that, I really like 90s punk rock, alt rock, Green Day, Fall Out Boy. Like, I think it's just, I think a lot of us are like, oh yeah, good songs, a little bit of nostalgia, good pump up music, good beat.
All right.
Now, other thing, I think is just really kind of uplifting, usually puts a smile on my face. Disney music. Like, gonna be honest, if I hit Let It Go in the middle of an absolutely terrible, threshold session, I feel better. I might sing along. And, Fall Out Boy wrote the soundtrack for Big Hero 6. So, it's cohesive. It fits together so far.
So, what you're saying is, you're like, oh, we're listening to Fall Out Boy. We're going down. Oh, sweet. I'm really pumped. Now I'm even more pumped with Moana.
Yeah.
It just builds and builds and builds.
That's okay. That's a linear progression of stuff.
Yeah, and then I have my fantasy metal.
Which I don't know. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
I've heard of Nightwish, but...
Yeah. I don't know how that made it into my playlist, but it was fantastic. Also, a lot of Teresa. It just feels like I'm going on an epic quest. And, all of the anger that I feel at my coach for writing me this terrible workout, there's a bitchin' guitar solo that perfectly encapsulates that angst. So, I love it. And it's a very eclectic list.
Yeah.
Song on it.
This is obviously the best conversation we've ever had, most relevant. And I'm gonna make a request. So we get 200 or 300 viewers that end up watching this at some point during the week, Jackie. I'm gonna make a request. You got to make a Spotify playlist of your stuff, and we're gonna put a link in here. So I'm committing you to it. I'm saying we are actually gonna put a link to your Spotify playlist here.
Okay.
Of your 90s punk rock, Disney musicals, and fantasy metal.
Yep.
So
Noon actually is starting to put together its own Spotify playlist. So just this last week, I got to submit some of these, and
what did they say?
I put in some of the fantasy metal because I figured, other people listen to the other stuff. Like, that's probably pretty well covered. Like, somebody's gonna put in inspirational Disney music because, like, it's just that ubiquitous. But I can occupy this niche.
Are they though? It's far out. I could, if you give me 100, maybe 1,000 guesses to pick like the constituents of Jackie's playlist. If you told me there's 3, I would never get those.
So okay, and we're gonna have to unpack a couple of things here. You said you're a 90s kid.
Yeah.
Weren't you born in the 90s?
I was born in 1990.
Does that make you so in 90s? So I'm an 80s kid. Is where we're.
Born in the 80s? Sure.
Yeah, it's 80. I thought 90s kid was someone who like came of age, so to speak. Like I was at high school in the 90s.
I was 10 at the turn of the millennium. Like
right.
I remember a lot of the 90s. Like I watched Nickelodeon during the 90s.
I'm only a year younger, and I recognize all that. Yeah, more of a Linkin Park guy myself, but
okay, I can see that.
All rock. Yeah, I have a poster on here somewhere. I actually think I just want to make you feel better because I think this playlist is actually almost as crazy. So we have Florence and the Machine, Katy Perry, Drake, Eminem, Led Zeppelin. Let's see, J. Cole, Nicki Minaj, more
J.
Florence
Cole and Nicki Minaj,
Spice Girls, Kendrick Lamar, Lorde, Whitney Houston. So I think I got you got to mix it up.
Spotify playlist too. I'm hearing hits all the way.
Yeah,
I gotta diversify here.
So I am okay. Maybe I'll be mocked just because I'm not as varied as
Ramstein.
Now I'm not really sure. I think you guys are both wrong and I'm right.
That's natural to think that.
All of mine, 100% of what I listen to when I'm riding a bike. And okay, maybe like 99%. Every once in a while I listen to something different. It's all EDM. 100% electronic dance music.
Above and beyond.
Just like, there's Sophie Tucker and David Guetta and I have the Taylor Swift dance mix version of Willow. I mean, it is like my number one listened to person through the 2010s was Calvin Harris. Like it's just 100%. What's that?
I just have to ask. Do you beat match with your cadence when you're listening to that?
No. So when I ride, and I love dance music. Like I love it. Like I have loved it.
Like, how much ecstasy have you had in your life?
Listen, this is a public show, and I'm not gonna.
I love dance music.
It's like my thing. So. Yeah, so when you're like, oh, I'm a 90s kid, like I bought Dance Mix 96, the actual CD, in 1996 because I was in high school and I listened to it before track meets and cross country meets. So like I would have said I was a 90s kid, just as a small tangent. So it's interesting to hear. Anyways, that's all I listen to, 100%. Sometimes I try to listen to Trainer Road podcasts, it's so boring. But as to beat matching, like, normally when I listen to the music, if I'm riding a hard workout, I don't even hear it. I don't hear anything. Yeah. Like every once in a while I'll hear a song, but almost never.
So the interesting thing is, John used to be a DJ and actually made some of his own tracks back before he started cycling. And he will actually not listen to music while he runs because he'll subconsciously match his cadence to the beat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like that's actually something he will purposefully avoid, is anything that's like very, very close to the cadence that he likes to ride.
Oh,
Because like he'll just start like, and left foot is always on the beat, like keeping time. And like if you're trying to do a workout where that's not the goal, it's like just that subconsciously becomes such a.
Or if Beethoven comes on, you're in trouble.
yeah. So
Part of the bubble for like all your high cadence work.
So I've always been the type of person when I'm working out, I just zone out. And I don't know if it's from running, like back when I was a runner.
Runners do that more, right?
I just, like, I could run 7 miles and I don't notice anything. I mean, like, I don't get hit by cars and like, you know, it's like when you're driving and you aren't like always like paying, like looking at every single car. Like, but they say that's not any more dangerous than, yeah, I just would like zone out. And I do it on the bike too all the time. I just like do my workout.
What's the longest you can do that for?
Zone out?
Yeah.
Like
you do a 3-hour ride and.
Well, the thing is, like, you come in and out some, but yeah, I mean, that doesn't feel like 3 hours. It just probably at the like, I don't hardly ever ride 3 hours though. Like,
I'm just curious the extent because like I can't listen to music for that long.
Oh, yeah.
Like an hour at a time maybe, but I like to listen to podcasts and stuff in between and books and
so I would prefer to listen to podcasts because they're educational, but I don't hear them. Like that's the thing. Like I've listened to music. I did a 3.5 hour ride on the trainer. I listened to music. I didn't hear any of it. Like I was just racing, you know. But like you hear like snippets.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between you guys. Like, I can't zone out. Like, I have to have something, but like, I can't do podcasts. And I've actually stratified, you know, what can I watch on Netflix or like, what can I listen to? And it's like, I have something that like does not require brain function. Like, if I zone out for 60 seconds in the middle of Great British Bake Off, it's okay. Their fondant didn't set. Like, you're good. You didn't miss anything. But it's like we tried to watch what was it? Walter White. God, I'm spacing out.
Breaking Bad.
We tried to watch Breaking Bad in like first episode, and I'm like, I can't keep up with this. Like,
yeah, same.
Like 250 watts, I lose 50 IQ points, and I'm just like, I can't make sense. What's going on?
I tried to do the same thing with Breaking Bad. Like I tried to watch it, and I was like, nope.
No, TV is not. I can watch YouTube videos and stuff because then I could just kind of like click on something for a bit and, you know, decide whether I want to pay attention. But I'd never watch a show. That's tough.
So I can watch shows that I've already watched. So I already know what's happening. And this takes us into the next one. Jackie, hit us with your 6. Also, there's a commenter on YouTube who loves the eclectic music selections. And the commenter, I'm pretty sure I know who he is. He has the same punny Instagram handle as he does the YouTube commenter, I think.
Yeah. So I have obviously spent a lot of time binge watching Netflix while I bike. And not just Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, multiple streaming services. Like, with the amount of time I spend, it's totally worth it. But I kind of split them up into multiple different categories, and this is probably where Rick was giving me the guff about 75 different bullet points. But in terms of friendly shows, I really got into cartoons for a while. So like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which then logically progressed to Legend of Korra, which then progressed to She-Ra, because I was told, oh my god, if you love Azula's character arc, you're going to love this one. Really enjoyed all of those.
You would get along well with my kids, and also She-Ra. The new She-Ra is amazing. So
it really is, and excellent intro music as well.
You should watch Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. It is excellent.
Ooh.
You guys keep making up all of these names and having me.
You've heard of She-Ra, Jordan?
No, I have not. I've not heard of any of these.
I am so confused.
Yeah.
You haven't heard of The Last Airbender?
No. I don't. Like, you could be totally taking the piss and making that up. I wouldn't know.
But this could be like our new segment, like pop culture or made up, and Jordan is going to have to guess.
Okay.
Oh, I love it. Yep. What I've more recently been watching is just a lot of Great British Bake Off.
I couldn't figure out what GBBO was. Okay.
Either.
Oh yeah. Under the justification that one, there are like 10 seasons once you include like the holiday specials in the first season. There's a lot to watch. Two, I need inspiration for all of my carb loading afterwards. And it actually worked. I got John to bake me something off the show, so I feel like I've won at life.
Mm.
And again, like I said earlier, it's something where you can zone out for 2 minutes. You know, you're like, oh my goodness, they underbaked their cake, and you're back. You know, you're not missing anything. You see beautiful cakes, and it's not terribly intensive in terms of the mental faculties you need to employ. So I love that one. I'm rewatching it now.
I have an important update. I'm sorry, Jackie.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, someone on YouTube just commented they don't have The Last Airbender or the Kira show. What is it called?
Legend of Korra.
Legend of Korra or She-Ra in Canada. So that would be it.
That's a good out for me, but I can guarantee you if they did exist in Canada, nah, brah. Nah.
Okay, so Great British Bake Off. Go ahead, Jackie.
Then if you're more of the movie type person, like you said earlier, rewatch the old favorites.
Yeah.
I can still watch Lord of the Rings, and I've seen it so many times. Again, I have that like, oh, you know, I'm out for 2 minutes. Oh, come back. Yep, I can still quote every line. Star Wars is great. Legally Blonde was fantastic when I was still training indoors with a lot of my teammates. You know, that one is just a perfect one when you need to say the lines at the same time as people.
Underrated movie. That's a film. It's not a movie, it's a film. That's quite good.
So my college cross country coach, we rode the buses with the women's team, which was fine. It was like we're all friends. But our coach always got movies that he considered to be neutral, but always the women picked him out every single time. Like we'd have to, you go on like these 10-hour bus trips and it would be just like, I mean, granted, we always picked inappropriate movies. So it, you know, but he played Legally Blonde one time and I'll never forget it because all the guys we were like, can we just watch like a neutral movie at some point other than like, it was just rom-com after rom-com, and I like rom-coms, so like I'm not saying I'm above it. I'm just saying like I'll never forget Legally Blonde for that reason.
You guys should have like put in a movie that wasn't Top Gun, because that's all guys in college want to watch, right?
No, I don't even remember. Like it was just like neutral, interesting, just not rom-coms. That's why you wanted anything except for rom-coms.
We had like endless replays of Friends episode on our college bus trips.
See, that would have been like Simpsons.
Friends.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that would have. Yeah, like it could have been anything. Could have been, I never even thought about TV shows, but yeah. So anyways, go ahead.
And then for our final category, throw back to my playlist of anything Disney. Just going to say singing along is diaphragm training. Got to train that deep breathing. And of course, you know, I've seen so many Disney movies so many times at this point. I could probably recite an embarrassingly large amount of them just verbatim.
If you ever need a place to stay, Jackie, I feel like you'd fit right in here. Like we got an extra, like you can stay. My kids would love you. We would watch TV. You could join our family movie night.
I was in Michigan this last weekend with a couple of my friends, and one of them brought their kids, and she wanted to watch, you know, we were like bribing her to be quiet. Like, okay, we want to play a game. Like, how do we keep you entertained? Well, we watched Anastasia, and I can't watch Anastasia and not like sing along. So I'm like teaching her how to sing along and like how you dance to Frozen. And
100%.
when it came time to say goodbye, I was actually like singing her Do you want to build a snowman from Frozen, but changing the lyrics so that it ended on "Okay, bye"?
Oh,
Waving, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, here I am 30, but I'm 10 times your age, but this is too cute, and I have to do it.
yeah, for real.
I feel like there's just like this vast segment of my life that is vacant. I can't relate. You guys are speaking a different language right now.
I had seen very few Disney movies until 7 years ago when my kids started watching movies. I mean, I'd seen like the big classics, Lion King and all that stuff, but your movie repertoire will expand significantly.
Looking forward
Maybe
to
Jackie's won't, but
I don't mind them at all.
yours will, Jordan. And I mean, like, I didn't watch like dude movies or anything. But I'm just saying. We just watched High School Musical a while ago, which
That's where I draw the line.
I have seen that on my own. So you'll be surprised what's gonna. I can't wait. Jordan has a kid and he's.
We're just gonna watch The Sopranos on a loop, like all 6 seasons.
Just get your head in the game, Jordan. Get your head in the game.
From the time they can talk, they're gonna be, hey, that's all I want.
Yeah. All right. So, and then recorded races. I don't know. So tell me about this. And you know what? You brought up something here that I had never thought of, and that's amazing, by the way.
Yeah. So I cannot watch races while I'm training. My coach Chris used to like to do this when we were training, and I just could not do it because I'm like, I'm suffering right now. I do not need to watch other people like actively doing the same thing and making me feel bad because they're professionals doing 500 watts for 7 hours. Like, if I'm suffering, I want to feel good about my suffering.
That is the pace we ride.
Yeah.
Just 500 from the gun.
But one thing I have always loved, and this probably has to do with the fact that I don't really have a good TV or good cable at my apartment since college, is I love to watch the Olympics at the gym. You know, and I love watching swimming races. I love watching beach volleyball. I love gymnastics. You know, either because I think they're just beautiful sports of people being incredibly mind-blowing athletic, or because I can follow the strategy in such a different way that does not remind me of how I'm currently suffering. And so I'm actually really excited for this summer because not only do I get to go back to the gym, but I'm gonna get to see the Olympics on TV. And this is really, really exciting. Like, I'm excited.
The Olympics are the best.
Stroke of normalcy.
The Olympics are the best. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Hey, I have to say, I like watching cycling on the trainer. I watched like way too many races from before. I used to have a binder this big of the DVDs, like of the Tour de France because I'd ride the trainer in Canada. So yeah, before Zwift, I had a binder of race DVDs that and I'd use the resistance and sort of make it like the climb and like basically do Zwift before Zwift. But I also watched the Premier League last week while on the trainer here in quarantine, and that was pretty entertaining. I enjoyed it.
I can't watch Zwift races. I don't know if I can watch real life races. I've never really tried it. I probably will during the tour. I guess the Giro's going on, but when I watch Zwift races, like I've tried to watch Premier League on the trainer, but when they go up a hill, I start going harder.
That's it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
What I like to watch races when I'm doing chores. And I've done this for Kona a couple times, is we'll just throw it on in the morning and we'll have a productive day of like, you know, doing dishes, doing laundry. And then when something interesting happens, you know, you've got your headphones in, they're just going and you're like, okay, go over to the computer, see this pass, see this particularly interesting segment, and then go back. You know, and a lot of the professional races, the length is really conducive to that sort of like half paying attention and come back for the interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We watched the NFL on the trainer too, because like those games are hard to justify pissing away 3.5, 4 hours for. Like they go so long now. But if I'm training, then I can justify it. So
And the popcorn and beer are just carbs you need to fuel,
yeah,
right?
right.
All right. So we ran long this week. We had just too many topics. I was very excited. We had more topics. We didn't even cover all of them, but this was super good. Jackie Jordan, thanks for, as always, coming on the show. It's super fun. Next week we'll be talking about Surrey Hills, how to race a hill. If you're interested, that's gonna be Jackie's tactic of the week. I'm very excited because I'm racing that course with my teammates. So not that I will necessarily follow your advice, but I will die horribly up the hill because I may not be able to.
That's all we ask.
So if you want to check out Jackie, go to Trientist24 at Instagram. You can check out all her awesome brands there, all the things she's sponsored by. If you're looking for Jordan, peakformcoaching.com. That's where he's at. He's also on Instagram, Jordan Shane 83 or something.
82.
82. So close. Yeah, check him out. Check him out there. And we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks.